Hiya,
Kazimov,
fellas.
you're on live with Vetted.
Hey,
What's up, brother?
Betters. Um, Something I had posted in the main chat earlier this week was a story I had heard about. God, it had to be in the early aughts. And I couldn't find the original website, but I did find a news story from 2017. And it talks about how Iapetus is a very unusual satellite of Saturn. And I remember on this old wacky conspiracy site I was on that they had a lot of valid points, and so the story has always stuck with me. And like I said, I couldn't find the original site from a search, but this gives you the gist of it. And I remember in the original website they had like zoomed in on a bunch of satellite photos of craters and stuff like that, and pointed out how there were a lot of straight edges to the craters, which what doesn't really make total sense.
This is on Saturn, you're saying?
A moon of Saturn.
A moon of Saturn. Got it.
And there's like all these different statistics about this particular moon that makes it stand out from other moons in that system and in the solar system in general. I just thought it was a fascinating topic because one of the things they were saying was that the shapes of the craters that they were pointing out, a lot of them were pentagons and hexagons. And they were saying if you were using a megastructure using like a carbon fiber build, that the strongest structure that you would get from that sort of thing would be like a massive buckyball.
I see. Yeah.
I just want to describe for
that's
anyone who's
interesting.
only listening. For anyone who's only listening, I'm looking at this image right now of this moon that he's talking about, and it looks like there is a perfect seam around the exact equator of the moon.
Yeah,
It kind of looks like a Death
the
Star.
walnut.
Wow.
It's actually it's crazy
Like
to
it's
look
like
at,
it's put
actually.
together from two pieces.
And fun
Yeah.
fact, when they were making 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Yeah.
Arthur C. Clarke originally had the monolith on Mimas. I mean, not Mimas, but on Iapetus in around Saturn. But
Really?
because when they were making the movie at the same time he was writing the book, they said making Saturn for the big screen is going to be a pain in the ass. Can we change it to Jupiter? They said sure. And so they switched the story for it to be set in Jupiter. But the original story was that there was a monolith in that massive crater on Iapetus. So
Interesting.
that's fascinating.
That's definitely
I don't
fascinating.
know where I'm going with it. I just
No.
think it's an interesting story.
Well, let's be real. There has to be, there's all these big rocks, i.e., planets, okay, like floating around space in the universe so bad. There has to be just some structures like that have been left behind or are in use or something. Absolutely. So why is the possibility that one is in our own solar system like that, right? And I more want to jump to speculating what would it be? Like, what is the monolith in 2001?
Well,
what does it do?
In 2010 they posited the idea that it was a shape for a concept that doesn't have a shape, like evolution or whatever.
Okay.
It's just one of those weird higher dimensional tools, I would suspect.
I remember reading something about like the technological implications of it. So it was like you had the monkeys seeing something in their, or primary cavemen or whatever they were, right? Seeing something in their environment that was technological and like irrefutably technological.
Right.
You weren't going to mistake it for a natural structure. And that was like that's what he was looking for. But I remember something too about thoughts or something, like it read thoughts, or I don't know. I could be wrong here.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it was meant to basically inspire greater thinking. So like the stoned ape
Yeah.
theory, instead of eating mushrooms and us getting
Exactly.
wild ideas, it's like they ran into this monolith that stimulated that part of our brain, much like running into a UAP might stimulate part of your brain, and you start seeing this shit everywhere.
That's interesting.
Mm,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting thread. What do you think, Con? I feel like you're raring. I feel like
I
you
mean,
Googled something and you're ready.
no, I wanted to bring something up, something that I found really funny. There is a new interview right now as we make this recording. There's a new interview with Elon and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And in the first 5 minutes, Elon's is actually poo-pooing on the theory that we have about the squared structure on Mars. He's very sarcastic about it and he makes fun of it. So I found that that's something that I should bring up to that specific discussion that we make right now because it's really related because he said he doesn't believe that the square structure on Mars is at all alien related. He thinks it's a natural occurring thing. He
Yeah.
says specifically that we have these structures here on Earth as well.
And that very well could
Which,
be, but that doesn't
yeah,
eliminate the idea
yeah,
that it's not possible, in my opinion. Like, I
Yeah,
think that's
of
until we
course,
get an
of course.
archeologist there looking, we're not going to know.
I
Of
mean,
course, and
yeah,
just
absolutely, hands on, right? No, it
just
is interesting
yeah,
what Elon said, and I'm making a video. I already actually clipped it out because I went as soon as I saw it dropped, and he
yeah,
talks about UAP, and people aren't going to be happy, but
of course, yeah, of course, because
you
yeah,
know,
he's yeah.
yeah,
Who,
but
who
yeah,
is happy with anything he says?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah,
I remember when
yeah,
Elon like first went on Joe Rogan, and that was such a like I was so excited for it
yeah,
because I've been watching Joe
good,
Rogan a
good,
long time, and I remember just like, oh, this is gonna be so. He's such an interesting guy. Like he was just a different person back then, quite literally
yeah,
a
he was,
different person.
Yeah.
But he was real
I,
timid, nervous, anxious, and that was what was like interesting about him, right? That he was so powerful and rich, but he was also kind of like vulnerable. And all that's gone away. He is very confident and just like out there now.
yeah,
And I'm not saying it's bad one way or the other. I'm not trying to start an argument. I'm just saying he's definitely different. You know what I mean? Like when he tried weed and like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a different Elon back then. I found him more charming back then. I don't find him as
I
yeah,
charming.
definitely miss the Tony Stark version of Elon Musk.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I was an Elon fanboy for a long time, and
Yeah.
then he just turned into this whatever. Anyway,
No, I'm
I'm
with
not
you.
a fanboy anymore.
It's
I'm
changed.
not a fanboy anymore.
He's
all I'm
definitely
saying.
changed, like for sure, right? At minimum.
He,
Not to
he
say-
must have been replaced by reptilians or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, he does say in the Rogan interview he's an alien. They have this funny bit where he's like, "I'm an alien." You know, they go through it for like a minute. That was kind of funny, but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Kazimov, great discussion, man. Great thing to bring up, and yeah, awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming up, brother. Really appreciate
Hey,
it.
thanks for having me. We'll talk at you next time.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate you, brother.